Hola, hola, welcome to the Truck Boss Show. Hope you're ready. Today we have 4 upcoming trucking dates, EROAD on hours of service changes, big news from the FMCSA, JB Hunt on electric trucks, Cali AB5 extension, and a Lowrider show. Let's get the show started. We have 4 important dates that could affect you, so get ready to mark your calendars. First, we have the CVSA's week-long brake blitz, August 23rd through the 29th, so get those brakes checked. Then, the heavy highway vehicle use tax return is due on August the 31st. You don't have much time left, so take care of those taxes. The CVSA's biggest CMV enforcement effort that was postponed from earlier this year is going to be happening September 9th through the 11th. And last but not least, new hours of service rule changes go into effect September 29th. Hope you got all those dates. And well, speaking of hours of service, a very well-known topic, let's go with Suna Lee of EROAD on the upcoming changes of the hours of service.
Hey everyone, Nikki here with the Truck Boss Show. Today we are here with Suna Lee, Director of Regulatory Compliance for EROAD. Thanks for joining us today, Suna.
Hi, Nikki. Thanks so much for having me.
Today we are discussing the hours of service changes. So before we get into that, can you tell us a little bit more about your role at EROAD, Suna?
So a lot of the policies and regulations evolve and reflect changes in kind of the operational, technical, economic, and political realities. My job is to stay on top of those changes in terms of the policies and regulations we operate within and ensure that our solution meets and complies with those requirements so that our customers using our solutions can remain safe and compliant when they are operating.
Can you tell us about the hours of service final rule and what are the main changes?
Had 4 key changes, which means one of them actually got dropped off. So the one that got dropped off was around the split 14-hour provision, which is where a single off-duty rest of up to 3 hours could pause the 14-hour driving window. And this potentially meant a driver's work shift could extend out to about 17 hours. With the final rule, that changes in 2 ways. One is that instead of only an 8 and a 2, you can do it in a 7 and a 3. So you can do a 7 hours or more in the sleeper berth, adding with 2 to 3 hours, depending on what you did. The 2 and the 3 are excluded from the 14-hour shift. So it gives the driver a longer period of time in order for them to finish their shift. The final rules are scheduled to take effect on September 29th of this year.
As an ELD provider, what are you doing about these changes?
Many drivers out there are utilizing an ELD, an electronic logging device, that has hours of service changes incorporated to guide them through their day. So whatever they do with their duty status, it prompts the driver how many hours are remaining before they have to take a rest break. A certain type of rest break will reset their times. And so we've built that into our system, and we need to make sure that when these changes take effect, that those changes are reflected in our system as well to make sure that the drivers can stay compliant.
Now, here is Susan, training manager of EROAD, sharing one of those quick tips.
So I wanted you to know, when the new rules take effect September 29th, your brake counter will only count down time after you've driven. So you only need to take a 30-minute rest break after 8 hours of driving. So make sure your drive screen counter and your brake compliance counter is only counting down the time you drive.
We have a webinar with the Acting Administrator for Enforcement at FMCSA, Joe DiLorenzo, on August 27th. We will be going over more of those in-depth questions around what can the carriers and the drivers do to prepare for these changes.
You should all heed warning and prepare for those hours of service changes, and make sure you go check out that webinar. That's it for this segment of the Truck Boss Show. We'll see you on the next one.
A big thanks to Suna and EROAD for that great info, and make sure to look out for that webinar coming up next week. Carlin, what's going on with the FMCSA?
Isela, it's big news for everyone in the transportation industry. After just 10 months, acting FMCSA Administrator Jim Mullen will be leaving his position at the end of August. Replacing him will be Wiley Deck, a senior policy advisor for the DOT's Office of the Secretary. He is familiar with the FMCSA, previously serving as the Director of Governmental Affairs at the organization. While Mullen's tenure was less than a year, he led the organization through a very busy time, dealing with a pandemic, making the final changes to the hours of service rules, and of course pushing for more safety-focused tech to protect drivers while on the road. Now, Isela, what's this about JB Hunt going electric?
Well, Carlin, I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago that DTNA had announced their electric Freightliner had put on 300,000 miles. Well, JB Hunt has also jumped on board with the electric Freightliner. JB Hunt and Walmart are collaborating together, kicking off a 3-month testing phase in which JB Hunt will integrate the eCascada with its day-to-day fleet operations in LA. And in a statement, JB Hunt stated they are excited for the opportunity. How awesome is that? Carlin, back to you.
Thanks, Isela. We've been covering California Assembly Bill 5 since its inception earlier this year. It classifies drivers as independent contractors only if they meet every point in a 3-pronged guidance. Otherwise, they must be classified as employees. However, there are major issues with the second prong, which states a contract worker, quote, performs work outside of the usual course of business of the hiring entity. So it greatly impacts businesses like trucking and rideshare companies that hire contractors specifically to do driving, delivering, and transport. A judge issued a preliminary restraining order in a case brought by the California Trucking Association, agreeing with their argument that the F4A law created back in the 90s blocks states from creating laws that impact the transportation of property. For now, CTA's case will be set for oral arguments next month. In the meantime, Uber and Lyft are being sued by the state and several cities because they have not classified their drivers as employees. And despite the two companies' attempts to have the lawsuit put on hold, the courts have said that their arguments weren't persuasive enough. Now, we will of course continue to follow all the changes that come out of California and bring you the information you need to know. Now, let's switch gears a bit. We know you drivers love to see anything that has tires and motors on them, and so does Isela. So she attended an awesome car show right here in Oklahoma City a few weekends back and has some highlights for your viewing pleasure. Check it out.
Let me take you on a quick tour of my culture. Cultura. Welcome to the Summer Bash 2020 hosted by Illegal Toys Car Club, who invited all kinds of old school cars and bikes. Growing up around lowriders, cruising on the weekends, and posting up at the park was tradition. It began in the early 1940s when Mexican-American kids would lower blocks, cut spring coils, Z-frames, and drop spindles, known to cruise the streets of the barrios of Texas, the Southwest, and California. Cars that identify our roots, our history, and our culture. Since the 50s, car clubs and family members have converted older cars for cruising, shows, and competitions at events, as they still do today. They have become mobile props, also being incorporated in movies and in music videos, not only across the nation, but worldwide. We're here at the Summer Bash 2020. Of course, Illegal Toys Car Club, they're the ones that put it together, so a big thanks to our guys out there. Those are my buddies, my friends. But this is giving you a little bit of a taste, I'm going to say, about of our background. You know, this is a lowrider show, but guess what? That's not the only thing that you're going to see here, because they have all kinds of cars. There's bikes, there's hot rods, rat rods at that. Oh my God. So much to see. I wish I could take you to each and every single one of them. But guess what? We're going to give you a quick tour so you can check it out for yourself of what's all going down here today. Today, not only lowriders come together as you see the different types of old schools. They compete for prizes in different categories, but there's also the hoppers that are electrically operated hydraulic or pneumatic pumps. It's measured on the wheels on the front axle. Whose car jumps the highest wins. Today, having my very own 64 Chevy Impala, my stepson a 78 Monte Carlo, we are known as a lowrider family. Proud to say the tradition continues from generation to generation. Well, and there you have it. There's a little bit of my cultura, my culture of what I like. And as you can tell, I'm still rocking the chola earrings. And of course, now you know that my family, we are a lowrider family. Love cars, love to, you know, of course, it takes a lot of time and money. And sometimes you would think we have our priorities all mixed up, but it's okay. We do it for the love of the cars, and we really enjoy it. So
Exactly, and it's fun and cool to do. And a lot of these drivers, they feel your pain. They spend so much money on their trucks. It's not even fun.
Yeah, it's like, you know, we pimp out our cars, the drivers pimp out their trucks.
That's
and
right.
So I'm really happy because, you know, this year I got my 6'4", and I actually drive it. I love it. So I have a lot of fun. I enjoy it.
Well, as you can see, she can go on and on about it,
Yes,
but
I
we
can.
got some other stuff to talk about. So next week, we're actually going to have Matt and Joey. Don't forget, we always have them
That's our
twice a
favorite
month.
duo.
Oh, that's our favorite duo. Next week, they're going to be talking about, I think it's going to be some the hours of service changes and how it's impacting Joey, and, you know, how he doesn't always see things quite clearly yet, but Matt sets them straight. And then we're going to be back at Wilkins for Wilkins Part 2. You guys got to go out there and see all the cool stuff that they have. And so we're going to continue to share some of that awesome stuff with you guys.
And well, Wilkins is also one place that also restores their vintage trucks. Peter builds 359, something like that. But anyways, and I hope I didn't get that wrong. But we're also going to be having Emily Solaby and Juno shoes. You can't miss out on that.
Yeah,
I hear Nick is going to be rocking them here pretty soon.
That's right. The Juno Jones shoes, Emily Solaby, that is coming on tomorrow. That's going to be our extra this week, so be sure to tune in for that. And of course, we love to give away stuff. All right, so we gave you guys a month. Next week, we are announcing the winner. So if you have yet to enter, go check it out. It is pinned at the top of our Facebook page. That's all you need to do is go watch it. You'll see how to win. Super easy to do. So be sure not to miss that.
Of course, because you know we're always hooking you up with some cool stuff. We don't just send you out anything.
That's right.
Truck Boss Shows doesn't work like that.
This is a box. Come on, guys.
Yes.
You need this. You need this in your life.
And don't forget that all you have to do is like, share, and subscribe, because without you, we wouldn't be doing what we do.
That's right. We need all the support we can get, so continue to support us and invite your friends to support us as well.
Tell the neighbor. Tell your
right.
grandma.
That's
tell
right.
your
Shout
aunt.
it from the rooftops. Do all that fun stuff. And of course, why do we do this, Isela?
Because you're the boss.